Yes, 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 yes. We are live and in full effect. Victor Vanico Johnson here. We are Create Your Future Self live. It is Monday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Welcome again, ladies and gentlemen. We took a week off last week for the holiday, but we are back in the saddle. And my co-hostess that you normally see here, Laquita Monley, she's got a night off with the family doing some very big things. So stay tuned for her as well, and make sure that you are following her at Laquita's Toolbox so you can check out all the exciting podcasts and activity that Laquita has going on. But tonight, I have a very special guest with me. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen. You probably don't even realize how impactful this lady has been in your own household potentially, especially if you've got teenagers or kids that have already gone off to college. I have the incomparable, the genius, the founder of College Prep Genius herself, Miss Jean Burk. How are you, Jean?
Hey, Victor. I'm well. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being on. And again, thank you for being one of the contributors for this year's Create Your Future Self youth program, summer youth program, which, by the way, folks, is July 26th through July 30th. We have every day of that week from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. We have some great contributors that will be adding value to these teenagers across the country, whether they are looking to go to college, start a entrepreneurship, or if they just want to learn more about money, credit, financial literacy. We will have it all during that week. So I'll drop the link before we leave today. But today we're going to dig in. Jean's going to offer some really great guidance from her program, College Prep Genius. It is a great system if you are having kids in your household that are challenged with some of these SAT, ACT tests. They don't do very well with aptitude tests. This is definitely the broadcast for you. So please, ladies and gentlemen, take a moment to share, like, comment, invite your cousins, your friends, your aunties, your nieces, nephews, your summer kids program, anybody that your young people around you, and invite them for today. So, Jean, what's going on? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am actually coming from sort of the mid-cities between Dallas and Fort Worth. So I'm here in Texas. I know you have listeners from all over. So I'm not too far from you where you're at here in the Dallas area. But it's just got back from a conference this last weekend. I spoke down at the Kalahari Resort, brand new, largest indoor water park. It was amazing. It was down in Round Rock, Texas, and it was great. And so we had lots of thousands of people that were down there. And prior to that, I just got back from my daughter's wedding in California, so I haven't been.
Congratulations!
Thank you. Planting my feet down the ground, but otherwise, I'm here. I've got about a week before I head off to another conference, so I'm glad to be here.
That is awesome. First of all, I love the Austin area. My wife and I lived down there for quite some time. So when you say Round Rock, I'm like, oh, I want to get back down to Austin for a weekend, go hang out. It's pretty cool down there. So I'm sure you had a great time. Then you bounced over to California. Man, that was a nice little getaway.
Yeah, I was California first. Came home. We were there for about 5 days, getting ready for my daughter's wedding. Came home for a day, turned around, and went to Round Rock. So got home yesterday. So here I'm home today. So it's nice just to be sitting here.
That is awesome. Well, so happy to have you here. Thank you for taking the time out. And we'll spend maybe 30 minutes here just talking through some of the different things that will help teenagers with their testing. And I just want to make sure that I myself am sharing this bad boy so we can get you all of the activity that you need. All right. So this is good stuff. And I want to make sure, I think I'm tagging you, Jean. Let's see. And then your audience and followers can also follow you. So
Great.
If not, I'll make sure that we share it out to your group after. So, okay, good stuff. So I'm still curious because, I'm a little bit older. You can see the gray hairs, right? I'm in my 40s. And so when I was in high school, it was all about the SAT. I know because I've raised teenage kids and now they're all off and gone and doing their own things. But I know that the grading scale changed quite a bit from 1991, whenever I graduated, to like 2016, 17, and that time period. So is SAT testing, ACT testing still even relevant? Is it still important? Talk to us a little bit about that.
One of the things that I really got, even this last weekend at the conference, some of the questions people ask me is based, we all know last year was a crazy year, total lockdown. We were all in house arrest, and colleges as a whole were waiving, SATs and ACTs because they were canceled. And so the rumor now is, okay, well, they're going to go away because, colleges don't need them anymore, which is actually not true at all.
Wow.
One of the things about testing like SATs and ACTs and standardized tests as a whole is they are necessary to level the playing field for students. Otherwise, it's not fair because a 4.0 at one high school, it's not the same at another. I mean, every school calculates their schools differently. I mean, your student might have went to a really hard school, really rigorous curriculum and schedule, and had a certain GPA, but then the kid that lives down the street went to an easy school and had easy teachers, and he or she has the same GPA as your student. And so on paper, they look the same. So there has to be some kind of numerical component that's common to all students. And so this is why colleges use tests like the SAT and ACT, because it does give that metric or that yardstick so they can test all students equally. And so we should be really thankful for it, in other words.
It levels the playing field, bottom line, is what you're saying. And so, because I know there are certainly people that feel that the SAT testing is biased. And what would you speak to on that? I know you just kind of talked on it, but what are your thoughts on that since you're more in depth with the testing and things like that?
Well, when I say bias, I don't even know what they're talking about, because one of the things is, you and I, we live here in Texas, and so if the test ask us questions about Florida history, we wouldn't know what to do. We wouldn't know how to answer it, or California, or something that we maybe not familiar with. And so what the tests themselves do is they test our critical thinking skills, and which is the one thing that we all have in common. I think people aren't mad at the SATs as a whole. They're mad at what they reveal. They reveal that you're not a good critical thinker, that maybe you need to brush up on some logic and be able to have that success in college, because critical thinking is a necessary skill for school. But I also think that people don't understand. One of the things that I've heard for years was, well, only the rich kids get all the high scores. So absolutely not true. I mean, I have taught in Title I schools where basically most of the kids are on free or reduced lunches. I've taught in very wealthy schools where the tuition per year is almost like a college. It's that expensive. And I've often found that there's not a lot of difference in some of the test scores from some of the students, because it's the same thing. It doesn't matter where you live or what school you go to. It's the same exact test. So it's actually fair. It makes it fair for everyone. And then for my homeschool friends, for those people, the colleges could look at their transcript and think, well, how do I know you didn't make that stuff up? How do I know you didn't just give everybody a 4.0 and give them their mommy grades, And so it's definitely helps validate their transcript. So to me, biased would be something that would be slanted against someone. And it's not. It's the same test. Everybody has the same opportunity to learn how to take the test, because what it is really, in a nutshell, it's a logic test that doesn't test math. It's not even a math test. It uses math as a medium, is what it is. It's logic. And so I think that anybody can study the patterns on the test. They can study the standards and the profiles of the test, because a standardized test has standardized questions and standardized answers, which means they are beatable.
Okay. And I guess that kind of segues to my next question is, if it's so standardized, why are so many kids having a challenge with getting good scores on these tests?
Well, what's crazy is even really, really smart kids bomb the SAT or ACT. And you would think that every student who was valedictorian, salutatorian, top 10% of school would be acing the whole thing. The reason why they don't is because it takes a different skill set. I think most students, even really smart kids, they approach the test like a normal test at school. They want to read all the passages. They want to answer all the questions and all the answer choices and go through the whole thing. But you only get about a minute per question. So if you spend 3 minutes on a math problem that they only give you about a minute to do it in, you're just burning the clock up. So most smart students, they may get the right answers, even the math, get it right. But yet if you take 3 minutes Now you're 2 questions behind every single time. And so you can't study for these tests. These are not content tests. These are logic tests. And so you have to study the tests themselves. So in all honesty, I think test taking skills should be in every school, because here's the crazy thing. Our kids, us as adults, you're going to be tested all your life, not just getting to college and getting scholarship money. Maybe if you want to go into grad school or law school or med school or at your job someday, all these tests are written the same way. I have a laundry list of tests that people have said, I used your program on, the LSAT or the GRE or the real estate test or the CPA or the NCLEX. Just this weekend, lady came up to me. I got her testimonial. She said, hey, we used your program. My student did amazing at SAT. But at the same time, she was studying for her pilot's license, the FAA. And the same strategies worked on that test. Now, I know nothing about, flying or anything like that. But as a whole, when a company or an organization writes a standardized test, they basically all do the same thing. They basically have to create a test that has the same recurring patterns on every test, normalizes the whole thing, and you've got one objective, indisputable answer and several distractors. So once you understand that these questions are purposely misleading and the wrong answers can be very appealing, then you learn to find the distractors and eliminate them, which ultimately leaves you the right answer.
Wow. And so you've tapped into this brilliant insight to help folks, and you just blew my mind. This strategy or the teaching that you do through your program, College Prep Genius, it can help grown-ups with all of these other different aptitude type testings that they're taking. I mean, you just mentioned the LSAT, like you just mentioned pilot's license. Like these are major careers that people make huge dollars in if they can get through that testing anyway. And of course, have the other skill sets that the employer is looking for. But that's great insight. I love this. And so with the program, I guess, how long have you started? How long have you been doing this program? How did it even come about?
So probably I've been teaching and speaking probably for about 17 years. But what happened was maybe 19 years ago, my son Josh was in 9th grade and we literally had no money for college. I mean, zero. I mean, we were a one income family and there was just no money. And I was at my friend's house one day and she mentioned to me, she said, did you know that you can get free college based on a test score? And I was like, really? Wow. I had no clue. So I just trusted her, believed her, and thought, okay, so maybe this is the way we can get some college money. And so with my son, it was very helter-skelter because we didn't have any money for one of those very expensive prep schools that may or may not work. So we did a bunch of different things. We bought some books at the store, went through them. Some of the stuff worked, some of the stuff didn't work. A lot of it didn't work. There was a couple local classes that he took to learn a couple little things. We went through lots of practice questions, going back over mistakes. And it was a lot of stuff. And so kind of short story long, he became a National Merit Scholar. And when it was all said and done, we ended up throwing away somewhere around 7 trash bags of college offers. Because what happened was, after he took his PSAT in his junior year, our mailbox filled up with just letters every day for about a year. My mailman hated me because it was just stuffed with letters from all across this nation from colleges saying, hey, Josh, if you come to my college, I'll give you a full ride. Or come here, Josh, and I'll give you free tuition, room and board, or study abroad stipends, or grad school money, or honor dorms, or whatever. And a lot of them kept up in the ante and they kept resending different letters. And so then my daughter, she earned scholarship money. And then my friends were all calling me and going, how'd y'all get free college? How'd you get scholarship money? And that's when I ultimately wrote a book and started teaching class. And what's crazy is, I didn't know a lot of people. So I just started out with like 3 homeschool friends of mine in my home. And then my home kind of started to fill up. My living room and kitchen was full of kids. And some of the kids were telling their school, and the school started calling me, hey, come to my school. So I started going to some schools. So we had a lot of schools in Dallas-Fort Worth area. And then what's crazy from that, people would say, if you come to my city, I'll get together a group of kids and and host your class. And so then I started going to different cities, then different states, and then I've also taught in 5 different countries.
Wow, that is awesome. I love that story. And it came out of your own pain point, you fixing your own household situation. Obviously, I'm sure your son what's he doing these days?
So he's an attorney in LA. So yeah,
nice.
He's he loves it there. I mean, we just got back from California, obviously, and so he just loves it. I mean, the weather's great. You can't beat it. It's ridiculously expensive, but he loves it out there.
That is awesome. That is truly inspiring too. Like so many of us have these different pain points we go through. We fix it. We do the research. We go through all the angst to try to get through that and overcome it. Then you overcome it. And it's like so many people want that same guidance. We don't realize how many people are going through the same walk with us, maybe in different details, but it's pretty much the same walk. And you were able to, sounds like, help. I don't know if it's millions yet, but it sounds like you've helped quite a few 100,000 people. I don't know.
Well, maybe not that many, but we have a lot of kids over the last 17 years, and not only in schools, because we teach in public and private schools, not just in Dallas-Fort Worth, but in other states, but also, excuse me, we have an online e-course that people all around the world have used. And then we've done live classes, but then we also now have a virtual boot camp too. Because last year we got shut down like everybody else, so we couldn't travel, we couldn't teach any classes, so we just started a virtual class.
Nice. No, that's pretty cool. And I know that your program is comparable to like Kaplan, Princeton Review, Khan Academy. Like these are some pretty reputable names out there and pretty pricey programs. So I guess the question is like, how would a family know what's an effective program, what they can, they should be paying for it, that kind of stuff?
Well, one of the things that families need to understand is that test prep companies are not all equal. And as a matter of fact, many companies, including some of the name brand companies, teach the wrong stuff. I mean, they will teach your student thousands of vocabulary words and more math concepts or elementary grammar. So basically, they're just reteaching high school over again. That is a waste of time and money because, like I said, you can't study for these tests. What you have to do when you're looking for a program that does work, and that is to find, ask them, what do you teach? If they tell you, well, start giving this list of, well, we go back over X concepts and this and that. There's 171,000 words in the dictionary. And so for some company to teach you vocabulary words is a complete waste of time because, number one, it's a logic test. But nobody but the test makers know what words will actually be on the test. So you could study a lot of words and not one of them be on the test. Plus, I've met people who spent $7,000, $10,000 or even more dollars, and their scores either dropped or didn't change at all because it was just a waste of time. But also not only to ask them what they teach, but is it logic or strategies and techniques? Because every question can be answered in 30 seconds or less. But even Khan Academy, which I don't speak bad about anybody. Khan Academy is a great resource for subject matter, like brushing up on your geometry or your science. Nothing wrong with that at all. But they're not going to teach you shortcuts. They're going to teach you how to do the math in 3 or 4 minutes, which is going to burn the clock up. It's good to just go over certain things, but it's not good for test prep because another thing, they're on the computer and SATs and ACTs are on pencil and paper. So that's, again, a different skill set. But really, and then also the other question you asked would be, what type of test questions do you use? Because here's one of the tricks that a lot of companies will do, and people need to be very well aware of this. And even some of the expensive companies can do this as well, but will do this. And they will give your student a really, really hard diagnostic test that they made up. It's not a real test, it's a made up test. And so consequently, your student will do terrible because it's pretty hard. Right. Then you spend money, go through their program or book or whatever it is, and then they'll give you an easy test that they've also made up. Wow. So it appears that maybe you've got up a couple hundred points or so. Now you feel pretty good about spending several $1,000s, but it's very deceptive results because you don't know that you actually really went up that much because you didn't really do on a test. What we do is we have students take an actual College Board test, the same test. It's free online. It's on their website beforehand. And once they go through our program and do all the follow-up and all that, then we have them take the same test again. So probably a lot of our schools, go up an average about 250 points the first time through. And then they've only retained about 10%. So the next time they go through it, they'll pick up something they missed the first time and hopefully go up another 100, so forth. But it's very deceptive to families. They don't know that. They don't know there's a difference in test questions. A lot of these companies' test questions don't even follow the actual test, the patterns of the real test. So you're just wasting your time.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's disheartening. I mean, you kind of figure that that's out there, but you don't want to think that some of the bigger outfits are doing those type of tricks just to get money from people. So I'm glad you shared that. That's very insightful information. Before we jumped on the broadcast, you did mention to me some information that you think would be valuable for those rising juniors out there, parents to be looking at ways that maybe they could offset some of the cost of college. Is something you want to share on that?
Yes, we started a series last month in June called the Parent Prep Plan. Last month, we did all about community service and why it's important for your student to be volunteering. And this month on July 29th at 6 p.m. Central, on our Parent Prep Plan, we are going to be talking about the PSAT. Now, when I told you that my son got all those offers, it was on his PSAT, not his SAT. He hadn't even taken the SAT yet. And so there's about 4 months until, if you've got a rising junior, you've got about 4 months until this test counts. And that's where the big scholarship money is. And depending on what state you live in will matter on what the cutoff score is for your student. Each state is different based on how many students are taking the test and how well they do. So I'm going to go through some of the secrets of the PSAT, how to do well in the PSAT. 4 months is not necessarily the longest amount of time. I'm a big believer in starting early. Start test prep early because you can't get time back. But I have seen some amazing increases in score in a short amount of time. So don't rule out the PSAT no matter what anybody's told you. Even if you have a sophomore, I mean, there's things that you could be learning right now that will make a difference for your sophomore this year. And then, of course, next year when they do take the PSAT when it counts.
Very nice. Wow. And so that's information on your website, right? That they can find out about.
On my website, yes. I think we're doing it through Facebook as well as possibly Zoom. You can go to my website, and I'm sure there's a pop-up or something. If not, you can always email support@collegeprepgenius.com. Ask them about the Parent Prep Plan and how to register for that for this coming month on July 29th. They'll be glad to give you that information.
Very awesome. No, this is good stuff. And so, as I mentioned earlier on, you are one of the contributors that will be in our program, in our summer youth program, Create Your Future Self youth program. Again, that's running July 26th through July 30th in the mornings, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. Last year, we had 8 different states represented, 3 countries, Canada, Africa, United States. It was really amazing to see. On average, about 35 kids per day. So it's all 5 days. But we invite parents out there to be part of it. You will be contributing to us. I think we got you for Wednesday. Yes, Wednesday the 28th at 9 a.m. So parents out there, if for any reason you missed this broadcast, you're not able to get your kid involved with the one on July 29th that they're doing, please register your kid for this program. This is awesome. It's free. Nicodon Projects is going to sponsor it for up to 95 kids that we'll pay for this virtual platform. So I would definitely encourage folks to jump in. And I know you obviously condensed your offering for what you're doing with that, which we greatly still appreciate. But can you give us a tidbit of what you feel like you'll be sharing during that particular presentation?
Yes, I'm really excited about what we're going to be doing for the Create Your Future Self. I have what's called a mini course, and I'm going to take the students through, and parents. I mean, we definitely want the parents involved as well, because there'll be a handout that they can just download and print out for each person. So I'm going to take the families through the math, the reading, the writing, and the science section on the ACT. And I'm going to teach you shortcuts and strategies on how to take a question that you might normally spend 3 minutes to work out and how to answer it in 30 seconds or less. Some of them you can answer in like 10 seconds once you understand the strategy. And so that's going to be really fun because your students are going to walk away confident and excited, like, oh my gosh, no wonder I bombed the test. They're going to think that. I hear that all the time. And they're going to be thrilled about thinking, because I think that they can do this, because I think sometimes people feel like they have no hope, especially if your student has taken an SAT or ACT or even a PSAT 2 or 3 times and their score is not where it should be or doesn't reflect your GPA.
Yeah.
Just know that it's not your student. It is a test. It's like trying to write an essay using math equations. If you don't understand the test and the logic, the way the test is written, then you're probably not going to get the best possible score. But once those doors are opened up and you are enlightened to see what it's really asking you, and you know how to eliminate the wrong answers, then you can do really, really well.
Wow, this is life-changing stuff. I mean, we talked about it offline. This, being able to take a test that will get you into college and potentially save you thousands of dollars towards the tuition. There are communities where people don't even pursue higher education because of the cost factor, or because they feel like the testing is not designed for them to succeed. And so, having this tool or your resources available to help people kind of navigate through some of the trickery, if you will. And I'm not certified to do this, so I guess I can call it trickery, but it just seems sometimes like, they're trying to have certain students fail and certain pass. And it sounds like it's more based on the aptitude, but I'm really glad that you're out there educating families on how these students can be successful with these tests. So I'm looking forward to learning some stuff myself. I got young ones coming up around me, nieces, nephews, and now grands. So, I'm sure this will be good information as they come up through the pipeline as well. Now, this has been good stuff. Anything else you want to share that might be a good little last tip for parents out there as they prepare their kids for a test? Even, and I'm thinking about it as I'm asking a question, are there things that you can do physically to prepare, like eating breakfast, getting enough sleep? I don't know. Or do you talk to them about any of that kind of stuff in your program?
Oh, absolutely. So for example, if you have an upcoming test, one of the things that you want to do the day before the test is do no prep at all. It's just a time to rest. Hopefully you've been practicing and working out for, several weeks, several months. It's always going to be accuracy before speed. You got to learn the shortcuts and strategies, and then you've got to practice, and you'll get better at it. It's like piano or golf. Everything you can excel in if you just do, if you just work on it. But the day before the test, you definitely want to just rest and get everything ready that you need, like whether your supplies, your pencils, your registration ticket, your snacks, your that sort of thing. And then on the day of the test, you just want to relax, because I think there's a lot of test anxiety. And the more you take the test, the more you gain that test maturity. This is why you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket and start test prep like in the junior year. Now, if you've got juniors or seniors, you can still do well. But we have 6th and 7th graders who do our program because they have time on their side. But yes, eating a good light breakfast that morning, dressing in layers. A lot of schools keep the rooms very cold, and you don't want to be uncomfortable. So that's another thing too. But one of the things I to your point a moment ago was why, somebody who thinks that they really have no hope in this. If you understand why colleges do this, then you can, for lack of a better word, play the game. So what happens is colleges get their rankings nationally based on test scores. If you go to like U.S. News and World Report and you see the colleges ranked from Princeton all the way down, the higher the score, the higher their rankings go. So that means that when you have a high test score, SAT or ACT, doesn't matter, they're both about the same test anyways, and every college takes either one, that raises up their rankings, which means that they go up in the rankings, they get more funding, and they give you lots of scholarship money, even free college, because now when they go up in the rankings, what they can now do is they can attract the students that can pay full sticker price. Because those type of students who have that kind of money want to go to higher ranking schools. So that elevates them. You get a full ride. You're just another seat in the room, a seat warmer. But another thing too is a lot of colleges may admit a very talented athlete who might just get the bare minimum to get in, But again, what that does is that drops their rankings down, drops their average down. So that means they're out looking for those high scoring students to get their rankings back up. So if you know that, then you know that there is a point to it. There is a reason that you want to get a high score, and what it can ultimately do for you is get you amazing scholarship money, even a full ride.
Nice. Oh my God, this is really life-changing stuff. I mean, for real, because again, to be able to pass these tests and get into a college that you desire to be in, and potentially have them knocking at your door for you to come in, I think this is invaluable information. So I'm glad that we were able to lock you down and found a quick little opening within your calendar to get you in for the youth program. And I'm just so thankful for that. So thank you again, Valerie, for being part of the program today. It really means that, I'm sorry, I said Valerie. Jean, I'm looking at a text that pop up from somebody who's watching. But I'm definitely thankful, Jean, for you to jump in because, again, we have so many people that are entrepreneurs themselves, but now they also have these teenagers coming behind them that are getting ready to head off to college. And we focus a lot in the program about getting them financially prepared for college and for life after high school. So not being driven into desire by that credit card kiosk at the front of their dorm room on that first day, and just really teaching them about how to build good credit, how to build long-term wealth by starting to save early. So this is a piece of it that we missed out on last year. So I'm just really thankful to have you to be part of it so much, Jean. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to drop your website in one more time. And are you also on Instagram?
I think we are, but I don't personally do really a lot with it. I don't even know if we do a lot with it. We do a lot on Facebook, on our website, College Prep Genius on Facebook. I don't really have a social media person because we're really busy on doing so many other things. I think we do have an Instagram, but I don't do anything with it. I'm not very techie myself.
No, not a problem. You got all that brilliance in your brain, so you're doing your part. So don't worry about that. I'm going to drop the Facebook link in here. I don't know, it's giving us a little weird, but it is College Prep Genius, ladies and gentlemen out there. I'm going to type that in specifically, but we encourage folks to get out there. This is definitely something that your teenagers, maybe even yourself, it sounds like this is wisdom that can help you also if you have some big testing coming up in your world. So check out Jean Burk. She's the founder of College Prep Genius, and we are just honored again to have you here today. Thank you so very much, Jean, for being here.
Thanks, Victor. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right. So, folks, again, if you will tune in to us every Monday evening, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, Create Your Future Self Live. And if you yourself have information that you would like to share with our community, send us an email at createyourfutureselflive@gmail.com. Have a good evening, folks. Later.